You're watching Medfield TV.
Hi, I'm Joanne Wilkinson. I'm the Rescue Director of Forever Home Rescue New England in Medfield.
And I'm Vera Wolowodiuk. I'm one of the volunteers, and I'm an adoption coordinator and kennel cleaner.
Forever Home Rescue is a dog rescue. We only rescue dogs. We don't rescue cats. We primarily get our dogs from the southern states where there are a lot of stray dogs and dogs that end up in kill shelters. We bring them to New England because there is a need for dogs up here. People are eager to give dogs homes in New England, and people treasure their pets in New England. So it's a win-win situation. We move dogs from where there's a surplus to a place where there's a need for dogs. In the southern states, the shelters are often overcrowded, so they will euthanize dogs for space. That doesn't tend to happen in New England. So we like to get the sweet dogs out of those situations and bring them here. It's because there aren't as many laws that protect dogs, and also people don't spay and neuter their pets as much in the South as they do here. And pets, if they're just left to fend for themselves, the climate is different there, so I don't think people feel as guilty about letting a pet just be left outdoors to fend for itself as we would here in New England with our harsher weather. So that's why there's more dogs there to be found that need homes. Our friends in the South, we're fortunate to have this trusted network that we've worked with over the years. They will find the dogs for us and house them for us and study them to see how they are with other dogs, to see whether they're fine with all different types of people. They sometimes can tell us if they're good with cats. So they provide a lot of information about the dogs to us before we bring them here. They come to Medfield on a large trailer truck. Most Saturdays they come on a large truck. Sometimes it'll be in a smaller van, but they come with many other dogs on a USDA approved transport. The company is called Pets LLC. They transport dogs all the way up the East Coast. We're one of their last stops actually, and they typically will bring us 20 or 30 dogs every week.
We have a facility in Medfield that has 4 kennel rooms. We have a capacity of quarantining close to 35 animals at a time. We usually get about 20 to 25 coming up each week. We have a vet office. We have a front office where we do the paperwork and we do the adoptions on Monday. We've got a great indoor and outdoor space, a fenced area outside as well where the introductions can be done, where potential adopters can meet and interact with the dogs outside of the kennel. So Saturday mornings are a really busy time for us. We start prepping at about 7 o'clock in the morning, setting up the kennels, putting down the paper, the food and the water for the dogs, assigning kennels for each of the dogs that we know that are going to come in. And on every kennel we have a quarantine sheet where throughout the weekend while the dogs are in their quarantine period, we track information about what's going on with them. There's actually 2 parts of Saturday morning, a back of the house that I'll talk about, and Joanne will explain what happens in the front of the house. So when the dogs come up off the transport, we follow a quarantine protocol. We take the dogs off of the trucks and we place them in their appropriate kennels. The volunteers then microchip the dogs. We check them for fleas. In the food that we've given them, there's also a deworming medication that we give to everybody as a precaution. We spend the morning cleaning the kennels. We take videos of dogs that have not yet been adopted and are going to be at an open house. And we also send photos of the dogs that have arrived back down to the fosters so that they know that they've arrived in Massachusetts safely. We also, as I said, record information about whether the dogs are eating, going to the bathroom, and their microchip information on the quarantine sheets that we keep on their kennels.
And in the front office, we take the paperwork that they arrive with from the South, which includes their vaccine records and their rabies certificates. and their interstate health certificates. Those are important because the vets in the South sign off that they are healthy to travel. Then when they come to Massachusetts, they have to be quarantined for 48 hours. That's what our facility is all about. And then on Mondays, after the 48 hours, our vet signs another health certificate for them, which is good in Massachusetts. So when they arrive, we take the records, the shot records, the rabies certificates, and the interstate health certificates, and we scan them into files in our computer system. And we can easily then send a PDF either to an adopter who loses their records maybe after adoption, or to our Massachusetts Department of Agriculture if they ever have a need to ask for our records. We can easily access each dog's PDF and send it by email. The dogs arrive with a medical records for transport sheet, which includes all of their vaccinations. The puppies have typically received 2 to 3 distemper combo shots, which are very important at preventing distemper and parvo in puppies. Most of our dogs have had rabies vaccines. If they're 12 weeks of age or over, they've had their rabies vaccine. If they're not puppies, if they're adult dogs, they also come with documentation of their heartworm status. Heartworm is a disease that's prevalent in the South. We don't see it that often in New England, but dogs that are strays in the South, something like 80% of them can have heartworm infection when they're rescued. So we have to test for that, and if they're positive, we have to treat for that and make sure that they test negative before they come to Massachusetts. And on those record sheets is also documentation of when the dog last had a heartworm prevention pill and when they last had flea and tick protection, so that we know to continue it on those dates every month after they arrive.
Our adoption applications are online at our homepage, and it involves a series of questions that we ask the applicants to answer about a little bit about themselves, their addresses, their time away, their experience with other dogs, their living situation, the amount of time that a dog would be alone, whether they have other pets in the household, and general plan for pet care. It includes also personal references and vet references if they've had a dog in the past recent years. If not, we also do a home visit as part of the application process. Once you submit an online application, the adoption coordinator that's responsible for the specific dog that you applied for picks up that application. She reviews it, does a reference check, a vet check, home visit if needed. She then, there's also an interview, a short interview with the applicants. And what we're looking for in the application review process is to do a good match of the applicant and the dog that they're applying for. We're not first come, first serve. We take into account the description that our Southern Fosters have given us about the personality of the dog and the needs for the dog, and we try and match it with an appropriate home for the adopter. Open houses are every Monday from 3 to 5 o'clock at our facility on Adams Street in Medfield. We occasionally also on Friday evenings and or Saturday mornings have an open house as well. So once an applicant is approved, there's a couple of different ways to adopt from us. The first way is we call it directly from the South, and what that means is we would put the approved applicant in touch with the Southern Foster. They could answer any questions that the adopters have about the dog, and if they decide based on that conversation or interaction that the dog is a good fit for them, you would put a deposit down on that dog, which is part of the adoption fee, and then we would get that dog to Massachusetts as quickly as possible. And I think we can generally do that within 5 days to 2 weeks. The other way to adopt from us is to come to an open house, meet a dog in person. So if you come on a Monday and you're an approved applicant and you find a dog that's a good fit, you go home with the dog the same day. The costs vary. It's generally between $400 for an adult dog up to $475 for a puppy, and those costs cover all of the vaccines, all of the vetting that's been done to date, and the transport of the dog as well.
Well, after a dog's adopted, it's not uncommon for an adopter to have an issue or two with their dog. Not all of our dogs are 100% perfect, 99% maybe, but there are some who will have an issue or two. And in that instance, we encourage our adopters to email us. We're on email almost 24/7 between the group of us. And so we like to address problems very early on. So if a dog is showing a particular behavior, we have a wealth of experience between all of our volunteers, and we can usually give some useful suggestions for trying to nip that behavior in the bud. We also recommend trainers in the area to help people with any post-adoption issues, and we also can refer them to like online resources and things like that. So we get this question asked a lot at our open houses because people come in and they see the dogs in our kennel cages and they think if they don't get adopted that they're going to end up staying in those cages. But the reality is we're not a shelter, we are a rescue group, which means that we're made up of a network of foster homes. So dogs that don't go home on Mondays at our open houses will go to foster homes in the area, and we're always looking for new fosters. So if anyone out there watching is interested in fostering a dog, please get in touch with us. So in the foster homes then, help the dog get well socialized, get used to this area, and they bring the dogs into open houses every week. So to volunteer or foster, you can find the applications for each on our website at foreverhomerescue.org. You just fill out the online application. It's quite easy and quick. And then we have a director of volunteers who would be in touch if you're interested in volunteering. And we have director of fosters, me, who will be in touch if you want to foster. The volunteers mostly clean the kennels, walk the dogs. Occasionally they'll help with the office work, with scanning the records or putting folders together. Our adoption coordinators are all volunteers, and they are the ones who do the processing of the applications. We have other people who do social media, who will put our adoption follow-ups and photos on Facebook and Instagram. So there's different ways people can help, and if people are uncomfortable with hands-on handling of dogs, they can do the other things. But since most of our dogs are great dogs, I think most of our volunteers enjoy the most taking care of the dogs. We need volunteers to help with kennel cleaning, and that generally occurs on the weekends, so Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons, Sunday mornings, Sunday evenings. Monday mornings and Monday afternoons are the times that we most need people. And people don't have to volunteer every week. They could do one shift every now and then, or they could do a regular shift every week if they like to. It's typically an hour and a half to a couple of hours of time for the weekend shifts, sometimes a little bit longer on Monday afternoons. But it's a great group of people, so it's not just dreary work cleaning kennels. There's a lot of great conversation and camaraderie involved as well. Money's always welcome, and there's a donation button on our site. We often have expensive veterinary costs. For example, we just had a foster dog who jumped off a couch and tore his ACL ligament, and so he needed like $4,900 in surgery. So we can always use monetary donations to take care of foster dogs and do things like that. And we can use material donations such as dog treats, especially like milk bone treats, not so much raw hides and things like that, but treats that they can eat just all at once rather than chewing on. Although we do need nylabones. Those are things that we leave in the kennels for them to gnaw on if they're anxious. And we can use non-latex gloves, especially medium size. Paper towels are always welcome. Those are the things that we mainly need. Other ways to help, just maybe by talking us up in the community. I think we're actually kind of a low profile presence in Medfield. People are more aware of the Medfield Animal Shelter than they are of us. And a lot of our transactions and communications are done online. So we're not a well-known physical presence in the town of Medfield, even though we've been here since 2008. So just talking about us, telling friends that there is this dog rescue in Medfield that people can come visit on Mondays, that would be a big help. Our website is foreverhomerescue.org, and then there's a contact us button right on that site, or you can email foreverhomerescue@gmail.com. And we are pretty prompt at responding to people.
You're watching Medfield TV.